The rumble of Jake Morrison's Harley echoed off the warehouse walls as he pulled into the gravel lot of the Iron Wolves clubhouse. 15 years had passed since he'd last seen this place, and it looked different now. Newer bikes lined up outside, fresh paint on the building, a proper sign where there had once been just spray-painted letters on brick. Jake killed the engine and sat for a moment, taking it in. He was 52 now, his beard more gray than black, his leather jacket weathered from thousands of miles on the road. The years showed in the lines around his eyes and the stiffness in his back when he swung his leg off the bike. But he was here. Finally home. He'd founded the Iron Wolves 27 years ago with 5 other riders who'd been more like brothers than friends. They'd built something real, a brotherhood with rules that mattered. No drugs, no violence unless necessary, family first. Then his wife Sarah got sick. Cancer. After she passed, Jake couldn't stay. Everything reminded him of her. He'd told Marcus, his VP, that he needed to ride for a while. A few months became 15 years. Jake grabbed his duffel bag and walked toward the clubhouse door. It was Saturday afternoon, and he could hear voices inside, laughter, the clink of bottles. He pushed open the door and stepped into the dim interior. The main room had changed. New pool table, bigger bar, flat-screen TV showing football. 20 or so bikers sat around, most in their 20s and 30s, wearing cuts with the Iron Wolves patch he'd designed all those years ago. Conversations died as heads turned toward him. Jake felt the weight of their stares, the automatic suspicion bikers showed to strangers. A big guy with a shaved head and a scar across his cheek stood up from the bar. His cut showed he was the sergeant-at-arms. "Help you?" "Looking for Marcus Reed. He's still around?" "Who's asking?" "An old friend." The big guy, his patch said Diesel, walked closer, looking Jake up and down. "Marcus don't see people without an appointment, especially strangers rolling up on our clubhouse." "I'm not a stranger. You're nobody until I say different." Diesel crossed his arms. "Now you can turn around and roll out, or we can help you leave. Your choice." Jake held up his hands. "Look, I don't want trouble. Tell him Jake Morrison is here." Diesel's expression didn't change. "Don't know any Jake Morrison, and Marcus is busy." A younger biker spoke up from a nearby table. "Diesel's right, old-timer. Members only. You can't just walk in here." "I know the rules," Jake said quietly. "I helped write them." That got laughs. Diesel smirked. "That right? You helped write the rules? And which club was that for, Grandpa?" "This one." The smirk faded. "You calling yourself an Iron Wolf?" "I was, long time ago." "Bullshit." Diesel stepped closer. "I know every brother who's ever worn this patch. You ain't one of them." "I've been gone a while." "I don't care if you've been gone to Mars. Nobody just walks away from the Iron Wolves and comes back 15 years later like nothing happened." Diesel jabbed a finger at Jake's chest. "Get back on that bike and ride out before things get unpleasant." "Diesel, maybe we should ask Marcus," said another biker older. "If he says he knows him." "I don't need to ask Marcus nothing," Diesel snapped. "I'm sergeant-at-arms. Security is my job." He grabbed Jake's arm. "Now let him go, Diesel." A woman had emerged from the back office, mid-30s, short dark hair, leather jacket covered in patches. There was authority in her voice that made Diesel release Jake immediately. She walked closer, studying Jake's face. "What's your name?" "Jake Morrison." Something flickered in her eyes. "The Jake Morrison? The founder?" The room went silent. Diesel recovered first. "Come on, Raven. The founder. He's just some old guy spinning stories." "Maybe." Raven circled Jake slowly. "Tell me something only the founder would know." Jake thought for a moment. "The club was founded March 15th, 1998. 6 of us. Me, Marcus Reed, Tommy Wrench Patterson, Luis Santiago, David Kim, and Robert Tiny Henderson. We chose Iron Wolves because wolves hunt in packs and iron doesn't break. First rule we wrote was, no drugs, no dealing, no using. Second was, family comes first, always. Third was, a brother's word is his bond." He met her eyes. "And the fourth rule, the one we never told outsiders, was, never let money come between brothers. The club isn't a business, it's a family." Raven's eyes widened. She glanced at Diesel, then disappeared into the back office. The room erupted in murmurs. Jake stood his ground, waiting. After a few long minutes, the door opened again. This time, a man in his early 50s emerged, lean, salt and pepper hair in a ponytail, wire-rimmed glasses. Marcus Reed had aged, but Jake would have known him anywhere. Their eyes met across the room, and Marcus's face transformed, shock, disbelief, overwhelming emotion. He crossed the distance and pulled Jake into a crushing hug. "Jake," Marcus said, his voice thick. "Jesus Christ, we all thought—" "I know," Jake hugged him back. "I'm sorry, brother." Marcus pulled back, gripping Jake's shoulders. "We looked for you, for years, put out the word to every club we knew." His eyes were wet. "Where the hell have you been? Riding, healing, trying to figure out how to live without her?" Understanding filled Marcus's face. He'd known Sarah, had been at their wedding, had visited her in the hospital. "You should have called. We're your family." "I couldn't. I needed to do it alone." Jake glanced around. "Looks like you did well without me." Marcus turned to address the room. "Brothers, this is Jake Morrison, the founder and original president of the Iron Wolves. Show some respect." The atmosphere shifted. Some bikers stood, nodding. Others looked embarrassed, especially Diesel. But Jake noticed a few whose expressions stayed hard, unwelcoming. "Let's talk in private," Marcus said. In the office, they sat with whiskey. Jake explained his 15 years, the grief that drove him away, the wandering, the slow healing. Marcus listened without interrupting. When Jake finished, Marcus sighed. "I get it, but damn, we missed you, especially when things got complicated." "What kind of complicated?" "About 10 years ago, we started taking in new members faster. Good guys, mostly, but some brought different ideas about what the club should be." Marcus rubbed his face. "Some want us to be more traditional, territorial, aggressive, profitable. They think our rules make us weak." "And Raven?" "My daughter." Jake's eyebrows shot up. "Your daughter?" "She's our secretary and treasurer, keeps us organized, legal, profitable, believes in what we built." Marcus leaned forward. "Jake, your return is going to cause problems. You're a legend, the founder who walked away. Some will see you as a threat. Others want you to fix everything. And some are going to want to prove they're tougher than the legend." "What do you want?" "I want my brother back. I want help steering this ship. It's gotten too big, too complicated." He met Jake's eyes. "But I need to know you're staying. I can't have you disappear again when things get hard." "I'm staying," Jake said firmly. "I'm done running." Over the next weeks, Jake's presence created ripples. The older members welcomed him warmly, but the newer members were split. Some, like Raven, were respectful and curious. Others, like Diesel, remained suspicious, seeing Jake as an outsider claiming unearned authority. The tension exploded at a church meeting. Jake sat in back, observing as Diesel brought up a proposal. "We've got an opportunity to expand our territory," Diesel announced. "The Renegades are weak right now. If we push into their area, we can take over their bars, their protection contracts." Several younger members nodded enthusiastically. Marcus frowned. "We're not a protection racket." "I'm talking about legitimate security services," Diesel said. "Legal work." "Security the Renegades currently provide," Raven pointed out. "This would start a war." "Only if we're weak," countered another biker named Torch. "We're bigger than them. They wouldn't dare fight us." "Violence isn't the answer," said an older member. When this club started, it was 6 guys with 6 bikes," Diesel interrupted. "Things are different now. We should act like it." "Different how?" Jake found himself speaking. The room went silent. "What's different about the fundamental principles we founded this club on?" Diesel's jaw tightened. "With all respect, Jake, you've been gone 15 years. You don't know how things work now." "Then explain it to me." "It's survival. Other clubs are growing, getting aggressive. If we don't expand, we get swallowed up." "We don't need to control territory to survive," Jake said calmly. "We need to be useful to our communities, to provide value that can't be measured in threats. That's what we built, a club people respected because we helped them, not because they feared us." "That's idealistic bullshit," Torch said. "The world doesn't work that way." "It did for us." Jake stood. "For 10 years, this club thrived without territorial disputes. We ran charity rides, fixed bikes for people who couldn't afford mechanics, escorted abuse victims to safe houses. And you know what happened? Businesses wanted to work with us. Police didn't hassle us. Our families were proud." "Times change," Diesel insisted. "Why?" Jake challenged. What's fundamentally different that makes intimidation necessary? Diesel struggled for an answer. Raven spoke up. He's right. Our best relationships come from community work. The charity ride last month raised $50,000. That bought more goodwill than any territory expansion would. Goodwill doesn't pay the bills, Torch argued. Actually, it does, Raven said. Businesses hire us for legitimate security because they trust us. We get sponsorships. That's sustainable. Territory wars aren't. Marcus nodded. This club survived by being different, not by copying other MCs. Diesel stood, his face flushed. So we just stay small and safe while others get stronger? We stay true to what we are, Jake said quietly. The Iron Wolves weren't founded to be the biggest or toughest. We were founded to be a brotherhood. Money and territory were never the point. Easy for you to say, Diesel shot back. You left. You weren't here when we struggled to pay rent. You weren't here when the renegades tried to push us out. You weren't here when we had to prove we were strong enough to survive. The accusation hung in the air. Jake felt the truth in it. You're right, Jake said. I wasn't here. I left when things got hard for me, and I'm sorry. But that doesn't change what this club is supposed to be. Help me make it right by preserving what we built. Diesel shook his head. This isn't your club anymore. You gave that up when you rode away. Arguments erupted. Marcus banged a gavel. We vote, all in favor of pursuing expansion? About a third of hands went up, mostly newer members. All opposed? The rest rose. Motion fails. Meeting adjourned. As the room cleared, Diesel stopped by Jake. This isn't over. You can't just come back and expect everything to be like it was. I don't expect it to be like it was, Jake replied. I expect it to be better, but that won't happen if we lose our principles. The following weeks tested that conviction. A local business owner named Frank called Marcus. His restaurant had been robbed 3 times. He was considering hiring the renegades for protection, but wanted to give the Iron Wolves first chance. It's a test, Marcus told Jake. If we say no, Frank hires the renegades, and Diesel will say we're weak. Jake thought about it. What if we don't offer protection? What if we offer something better? They met with Frank that afternoon. He was tired-looking and scared. I can't keep losing money, Frank said. I've got employees who depend on me. We understand, Jake said, but the Iron Wolves don't offer protection services. We're not in that business. Frank's face fell. But, Jake continued, we do community safety programs. What if we organized a neighborhood watch, helped businesses install better security, worked with police to increase patrols, and in the meantime, we could park bikes outside your restaurant during peak robbery hours, not as hired protection, but as community members looking out for a neighbor. Frank looked uncertain. The renegades are offering $500 a week. And when you can't pay, what then? Jake asked. You're locked in. But if we make the whole neighborhood safer, you're free. Everyone is. Frank gave them 2 weeks. The Iron Wolves launched the Safe Streets Initiative. Members volunteered to park outside vulnerable businesses. They organized neighborhood meetings. They worked with police. They helped install better locks and cameras, for free or at cost. Within 2 weeks, robberies dropped significantly. Frank's restaurant wasn't hit again, but more than that, other businesses took notice. They started calling, not for protection, but for legitimate security improvements. The club's reputation grew. Local news covered the initiative. The mayor's office reached out. Even Diesel had to admit the results were impressive. At the next meeting, Jake addressed the membership. Brothers, I know there's been tension. Some resent me for leaving. Some think I'm stuck in the past. Maybe you're both right. But I want to share something I learned during 15 years on the road. He paused, looking around. I've seen a lot of motorcycle clubs, clubs that controlled through fear, clubs that ran like businesses, clubs that tore themselves apart over power and money. You know what I didn't see? Any of them as strong or respected as the Iron Wolves. Several members straightened with pride. The reason isn't because we're tougher, it's because we stand for something. When people see our patch, they think brotherhood and community. That's rare, that's precious, and that's what I'm fighting to preserve. Jake turned to Diesel. You said this isn't my club anymore, that I gave that up. You're right, it's all of ours. But it's also still the Club 6 guys founded on the principle that we could be different, better. I'm asking you to honor that." Diesel stood slowly. Then he extended his hand. "I still think you left when we needed you," Diesel said. "But I can't argue with results. Maybe there's room for both, staying true to our values and being strong enough to survive." Jake shook his hand. "That's all I'm asking for. A balance." The tension eased. Not everyone was convinced, but consensus was forming. 3 months after Jake's return, the club held their anniversary party. Over 200 people attended. Jake stood at the edge, watching Marcus give a speech. Raven joined him with beers. "You did good, Jake. The club's more unified than it's been in years." "That's Marcus's doing." "It's both of you." She clinked bottles with him. "Dad says you're staying, not just visiting." "Yeah, got a place lined up, a job at a bike shop. Time to put down roots." Marcus finished his speech and raised his glass. "Finally, I want to recognize someone who came home this year. Jake Morrison, come up here." Jake made his way through the crowd. Marcus put an arm around his shoulders. "Jake left us for a long time, and that hurt. But he came back, and that matters more. Jake Morrison is the founder of this club, and he's home." The applause was thunderous. Even skeptical members joined in. Diesel whistled from the back. Jake felt emotion rising. "Thank you for letting me come home, for keeping alive what we built, for proving the Iron Wolves are more than any individual. We're a family. And family means you can screw up, you can leave, but you always have a place to come back to." Later that night, Jake sat on his bike in the parking lot. Marcus came out and leaned against the wall. "You really staying?" Marcus asked. "I'm really staying." "Good, because there's still work to do, growing pains, new challenges." "I wouldn't expect anything else." Jake started his bike. "That's what makes it worth doing." He rode into the night, but this time he knew where he was going. Home wasn't a destination you reached once. It was something you chose, over and over, day after day. And Jake Morrison, founder of the Iron Wolves, had finally chosen to come home. For good.